Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by SBK, with Daryl Carter, Andrew Mount and myself, to look forward to the jumps finale then at Sandown, the final day of the jump season in Britain. Plenty to look forward to then. Of course, the crowning of Brian Hughes as the champion jockey and a whole host of other awards as well. We do also have two races to focus on the flat as well, at Haydock and then at Leicester. But it is mainly going to be the Sandown focus, understandably so. But we did have a decent weekend then last weekend. So before we get into the action proper, going to reiterate some of those winners from last weekend. So we had Perfect Power, who is perfect. Don't know if he's going to win the Guineas, but still, he got the job done anyway there last weekend, winning at 6-4. Kate Snap. And of course, for Daryl as well, we are continuing this bandwagon behind Perfect Power. There was Enemy winning at 11-1 for Daryl, and Tyre at 3-1 for Daryl, and McKean at 5-2 as well then for Daryl. So very well done, Daryl. You had a very good Saturday last weekend, so please let that continue then into this weekend as well. So we are going to begin though at Sandown. This is the 150, which is the novices championship final handicap hurdle over 2 miles. Pretty open contest. Knappers Hill currently heading the betting as the 3-1 market leader. So Daryl, starting with you, please, who wins this opener?
Headlaw, hopefully. He's up £10 from winning at Southall last time, but it was much more a polished display from him, much more professional, especially in the jumping department. This horse is I've been keeping an eye on this horse. I've tipped him a couple of times to win after he travelled really well at Newbury behind Iron Maximus and then just sort of didn't see out his races. He's had a tongue tie on since then, 3 starts. He's just improved with every single start. So at Huntington, he wasn't really asked for much of an effort until after the last when he clattered it. But he jumped poorly that day. And then he went to Warwick and he gave the leader loads and loads of rope. But he just made up ground hand over fist very easily. And then just got to the quarters of the leader, clattered the last again. And then stuck on really strongly under hand and heels, one going away. But Southall last time was just a big step forward in terms of his jumping. He met most, I think he made one mistake, but he met most spot on. He was upside the runner-up, Pay the Woman. John Joe was just sort of kidding him, sitting there, not wanting to win by too far. He ended up winning by 8.5 lengths. I don't think that was the plan, but he could have won by 28 lengths, in all honesty. He's gone up £10 for that. He's a horse that arrives on the up. He's a progressive young horse. I think there's lots and lots more to come from him. The other one I was just interested in this race was the 4-year-old Dr. Parnassus for the Skeltons. This horse gets £8 weight for age allowance in this particular race, so he's effectively £8 lower than his rating by his name, if you want to look at it that way. He's had 3 starts. He's been very impressive in 2 of them. The other one was in the Triumph Hurdle when he was beaten 12 lengths, finished 7th, but he was bang there turning for the last or the second last hurdle. And he just had nowhere to go. There was a wall of horses in front of him. Now, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting he would have gone anywhere near close to winning the race, but it was a very, very good effort for a juvenile with just 2 starts under his belts against the Irish, who are just miles above the British juveniles this season. I thought it was a decent effort. I think Sandown will definitely suit him. He's a very straightforward type, strong, galloping horse. I think he's got more to come as well. And it's interesting now that he's in a handicap from the Grade 1 Triumph Hurdle into a handicap at the end of the season. Perhaps he's in good heart and they want to get another run into him or another win into him. If he touches like 9-10-1, which he is pushing at the minute, 'cause he's having a little drift in the market, I'm going to have to back him as well because I think he's too big of a price. And I think Knappers Hill is probably too short of a price. So Headlaw, Dr. Parnassus, I'm probably going to couple the pair.
Good case made for both of those. Yeah, Headlaw looks so progressive, doesn't he? And like you say, if the Southwell hurdles have just brushed up his jumping, just made him think that bit more, then hopefully that will seem to good effect. But also Dr. Parnassus, who looks a very fair price then for the 4-year-old in here as well. He probably was really the best British juvenile then, for all that he finished behind Porticello then in the Triumph. So Andrew, your assessment of this opener, please.
Yeah, apologies. I've had a lot of money on Thomas Todd to trade in running here at Perth, and
you can give us a running commentary if you like.
You might hear screaming soon, and that it could be me. It could be my daughter who's in the garden playing with her next door neighbour's kids. So,
I'm sure we wouldn't tell the difference anyway.
Yeah, I found this race really tricky. There's so many progressive types in here. I do like the spring angle with Knappers Hill. He's 4 from 4 from April to October. I just think this time of year, sun on his back, spring, autumn ground. He's most progressive. I know the price is not supersonic. What is he, 7-2? But I'm with Knappers Hill on a race that I'm not having a bet in and not particularly keen on. So I'll bow to Daryl's superior judgment if you want to have a financial involvement here.
Wonderful. Yeah, so Knappers Hill potentially at 3-1, but not an overly strong opinion in what is a very open race. So we move on then to the 225. This is a Grade 2 Oaksy Chase over 2 miles, 6.5 furlongs. Only 4 runners in here, and it's Mr. Fisher who bids for his day in the sun yet again, then at the head of the market. I mean, Andrew, are you busy right now? Would you prefer me to throw this to Daryl this time?
No, not at all. I've done my dose, so I'm just going to have a little try.
Good to know.
Yeah, should have bailed out when I had the chance. Yeah, this is funny old race now, isn't it? Not particularly strong. I mean, you look at this, Nutswell probably needs a sharper track. It's all sort of Kelso, Aintree, Musselburgh form, Wetherby, Erne River. I know Daryl was keen on this one last time at Aintree when he tipped up. But he's never gone right-handed, and he's jumped markedly out to his left on occasions on left-handed tracks. So he's probably going to hate Sandown. St Calvados, disappointment of the season. Seems best on soft or heavy going. Process of elimination. I know he blundered his way out of contention at Aintree last time out when I fancied him at the big price. But I thought he's probably just going to win here. Small field, decent ground. Doubts against all his rivals. 13-8. Yeah, nothing supersonic, is it? But I think Mr. Fisher, barring jumping errors, will probably win. So probably not going to back him at the price, but I've got to make him my selection.
Yeah, I'm totally with you with this, with Mr. Fisher, though, as well. He's my selection in this race because, I mean, it's understandably so, not inspired by this race very much, only the 4 runners. And he's just a solid Grade 2 performer. I wouldn't even say he's a Grade 1.5 performer. I'd say he's a proper Grade 2 performer, Mr. Fisher. And he does just bounce back in these types of contests. We saw that 3 starts ago at Kempton in the Silvagnaco Conti Chase, where he won that. Yes, it was soft ground, but I've always felt he was a horse that was better on a sounder surface as well. Then hopefully he jumps around here well. He has done previously at Sandown as well, when finishing second then in this race last year behind Frodon. So yeah, it just all looks set up really for him. And I don't think he's got any of the rivals of a caliber that he's met in those previous races to actually be overturning him here. So yeah, it's Mr. Fisher for me as well. But Daryl, have you got unfinished business with Erne River?
Oh yeah. I've got loads of unfinished business with him, but it's very hard to be confident in him going right-handed when he has been jumping out to the left like he does. And this just looks very much set up for Mr. Fisher, doesn't it? But the problem is Mr. Fisher is not the most reliable horse in the world, is he? And that's where the problem comes, when he, on paper, almost looks a certainty for this. But do you want to be backing him at the price of 13-8? I certainly don't. He does love small fields. He does love good ground. There should really be no excuses at all for Mr. Fisher. But at the price, I am just going to side with Erne River, just on the basis that I just think that Mr. Fisher can throw his toys out the pram, at any moment's notice. And I just feel that Erne River is a horse that is actually on an upward curve. He's actually improving. We don't know how much is left under the bonnet. His jumping's a little bit worrying for a track like Sandown, I guess. So the negatives are definitely there. But I can't have St Calvados. I like St Calvados when he's fresh. I definitely think that's the angle with him. And so many people there seems to be so many excuses for every single run when he hasn't been fresh, that it's kind of, it's kind of obvious now. I don't know when they're going to learn that he needs to run fresh, not 15 days later. So I couldn't have him. Nutswell, I totally agree with Andrew. He wants a bit of a sharp test in this. So I couldn't have him. And if Mr. Fisher does throw in a poor run, then Erne River, he could well pick this up. It's a very, very poor turnout for a Grade 2. Very poor turnout. So just at the prices and just to be different to the Peria, I'm going to go for Erne River.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you had seen the expletives that were coming out of Daryl's mouth then following his fall at Aintree, you can understand why he has the unfinished business of Erne River as well. So he is a very solid horse to be chancing then back in a race full of horses where we don't really know with full confidence exactly how they're going to fare here. So to be different, Daryl is going then for Erne River. So we move on then to the Grade 1 celebration chase over 2 miles at 3 o'clock, where Greaneteen bids to retain his crown after winning this race at the expense of Altior nonetheless. But he has 4 rivals to contend with here. It's Nube Negra who follows Greaneteen home then as the second favourite, or in as the second favourite. So Daryl, back to you please. How would you play this Grade 1?
Well, I'm kicking myself. I didn't take 3-1 about Greaneteen earlier in the week, to be honest with you. He's a good thing here, I think. Comes here fresh. They're giving him a little bit of a break. Absolutely loves it here at Sandown. He's had Nube Negra and 12 lengths behind him before in this race last year. Was it this race last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe. But he's had So Royale behind him. He's just one of those horses that love Sandown. Now, last year in this race, he went off at massive price, 13-2, when Altior was sort of on his decline a little bit. And I could just remember people going, how has he gone off at that price? No, it wasn't, sorry. It was in December when he beat Hitman.
Yeah, sorry, Matingle Creek. Yeah,
Matingle Creek, yes. He went off at 12-1. And people were going, how on earth can this horse be going off at 12-1? And he was 3-1 earlier in the week. And I thought, God, I can't let that go. He should be favoured for this. But I forgot to get on him. I was busy with something else. And he's now 13th. So I'm a bit disappointed. But I think by far he's the most likely winner. This would have been the target since the Dublin Racing Festival for Greaneteen, and we know Paul Nicholls is a master at targeting certain horses at certain races, especially places like Sandown. So Greaneteen for me ticks all the boxes. Probably the best horse in the race, in all honesty, and he's got ideal conditions. So.
Yeah, no, keep it simple then. For all that, like you say, that 3-1. Oh, yeah, that's slightly sickening then for Greaneteen to have missed that. But nonetheless, you still won't be crying if he goes and wins if you've backed him again here now, as he does look as though he's been teed up for this race. So I do have to agree on that basis. This is basically his Gold Cup Day Mark 2, really, isn't it? Andrew, do you agree, or are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I wanted to back Greaneteen in the Queen Mother. I mean, you had to send a search party out to find him at the DRF. He was the last of 5, beaten about 780 lengths. But he does tend to run to OXO pattern, good run, bad run, good run, etc. And when he's coming to the races on the back of a top 3 finish, he's only won 3 times from 11 starts, and those were in low-grade races early in his career. When he's rocked up at the track, having finished 4th or worse last time out, his record is 5 wins from 5 starts. So you'd almost take that last time out run as a positive. And I think he's going to take the world of beating here. I mean, Nube Negra is great when fresh. He arrives here fresh. You know, he finished in front of a Greaneteen in the Queen Mother Champion Chase last year. And it's your obvious forecast. I mean, So Royale is a great horse, but he's an early season, small field, muddy track horse. And I don't think he's going to be in the 2. So I think I'd have to back Greaneteen, maybe 80% win of my stake on the win, 20% on a straight forecast to beat Nube Negra, or just lace So Royale for a place here. That would be my way into the race.
Oh, I like that. Plenty of options then for a 5-runner race, for Andrew giving us plenty of different betting angles into the race anyway, but agrees on the win purpose anyway for the sake of this podcast for Greaneteen. So that's all 3 of us then in agreement about Greaneteen. And of course, when he did finish tailed off, I think he's just about found his way back to Ditcheat then from Leopardstown, basically from how far he was lost in the background, was when the horses were running terribly. I think they had, the 2 runners then over there, didn't they? Paul Nicholls, he was at Frodon, the other one for the DRF, and they both ran terribly because the form just wasn't there. So back in much better form now. So all 3 of us then with Greaneteen. We shall move on then to the 3:32, a far more attractive betting heat in our final scheduled Sandown race. This is the Bet365 Gold Cup Handicap Chase, which is a Grade 3 contest over 3 mile, 4.5 furlongs. We have 2 of the runners, 3 actually of the runners then, who fought out the controversial and bizarre finish to this race last year then, but 2 of them are heading the betting. There's Enrilo as the current market leader at 7-2, who technically was first past the post then in the race last year from Kitty's Light, who should have won the race last year, but for being mullered by Enrilo. And then the race that eventually fell into Potterman also returns for this race as well. So Andrew, plenty of characters we know an awful lot about in here. Who wins it?
Yeah, I mean, Enrilo, you wouldn't be surprised, would you? I mean, from what we all discussed previously, it looks like Paul Nicholls is going to have a good Sandown on Saturday, and so perhaps if you're a spread better or a multi-bet punter, then maybe combine some of his horses, including Enrilo. Kitty's Light doesn't win as often as he should, even though he was unlucky last year. There's a lot of second in this form line. Win My Wings One or two are stuck up in the Scottish National. Incredibly progressive, overstaying trips. No surprise to see him going again. And you're sort of struggling to be too much against those at the head of the betting, suggesting there's not a huge amount of value elsewhere. I'm going to side with Domaine de Lille, who was the moral winner in the Grand National, would have won but for unseating my 100 to 1 post.
The moral winner.
But yeah, my reasoning remains the same. He did come good last spring on decent ground, and at 20 to 1, I'm just going to chuck my £5 each way at him rather than get too heavily involved in the race.
Yeah, it's a big price then to Domaine de Lille. Quote that out.
See if I can win 125 quid and get a day's electricity.
You'll be lucky. You will be lucky in this day and age, Mr. Mount, but we won't get it down the political route just yet. Save that for another few weeks at least. Anyway, Daryl, your play in the Bet365 Gold Cup.
To be honest, I don't know. I felt the same as Andrew, where there weren't much. I was hoping he was going to come in here and give it a case for a big price horse, because I couldn't find a case for a big price horse in this race. In all honesty, I thought it was hard to get away from those towards the top of the market. I don't think Enrilo should be favourite though. I can see him probably being well backed on the day, but he's been behind. He should have been well behind Kitty's Light in this race last year. He was behind Kitty's Light at Kempton. I think he's a decent horse. He is a good horse, but I don't think he's like remarkably progressive or anything like that. And he just seems to be sitting at the top of these markets every time you look at a race like this. And I just kind of don't understand why. I think Kitty's Light is just a better horse than Enrilo. Kitty's Light has been very frustrating. Then they put cheap pieces on for the first time today, which is an interesting move. The horse is £12 better off, I think, with Win My Wings, including the jockey claim. But the way Win My Wings won that Scottish National was just, I still can't get over it, really. Yeah. Just won it in a canter after 4 miles. Was still in the canter. I just can't get over the amount of progression that this horse has shown in the last 3 starts. It's just been ridiculous. And I'm trying to find reasons why that's happened, and trying to find an angle to see, okay, now I can get this horse beat going right-handed or whatever like that. But I just can't. This horse is just progressing at a rate of knots. Christian Williams has done remarkable things this season, and I still don't think he gets the amount of plaudits that he deserves. He's got a great chance of winning this again with his two, Win My Wings and Kitty's Light. I never normally like backing a horse, Kate, off a mark of like 154 in a race like this.
Yeah.
But I do think Win My Wings is the most likely winner, in all honesty. And if not the winner, I can't see the horse out of the 3 unless a mishap. So
yeah,
that's the way I'd have to play it. But I'll probably won't be able to bet in the race, in all honesty.
Yeah, but like I say, she's actually probably is a fair price with My Wings just to finish in the first 3, because say you just from this yard, sort of any other yard, you think, well, on the back of those 2, hard fought win. Well, I say hard fought wins. Seemingly what should be hard races to win, an Ida and a Scottish National, but they weren't for her. Then you try and take them on, think, well, it's a mare, it's had a long season, blah blah blah. But she has just dotted up in the pair of those.
Thriving, yes.
Absolutely thriving. And the way that Christian Williams just manages to get his horses back after all of these runs, as though they're fresh as a daisy next time up. He has threatened, if he wins this, that he will be leading his winner then in a full Lycra marathon suit. So I almost hope that it happens now for either Kitty's Light or Win My Wings. So it's going to be really exciting to see. Anyway, for me, I was between then Enrilo, who, like you say, he's a horse who I hate siding with. I try and avoid him at all costs, but I just think he has another solid chance yet again in this race, for all that Kitty's Light should have beaten him last year. But off this mark, I thought he had every chance yet again. But also, I'm really interested in the 25 to 1 shot of Hewick, who is representing Shark Hanlon then here. Jordan Gainford taking the ride, then taking his £3 claim off his back as well. This lad's had a busy time of things prior to his Durham National win over 3 mile 5, which he won easily despite not jumping well. But he still ran out an easy winner by 6.5 lengths from Red Giant, who was actually coming into the race bidding then to double up on his win in the Durham National from the season prior. And he was well backed, as though that was expected of him as well. But he was readily booted out the way by Hewick anyway. And as I say, Hewick justified his own market support, then one off of a mark of 142, £7 lower than he's running off of here. He did have a £7 claimer on his back then. at Sedgefield, whereas he's only got the £3 claimer on his back now. So he is quite markedly up then in the ratings for that win. But I know he pulled up then last time out at Uttoxeter, but I think he did far too much too soon. He's had the 5 weeks since that now to freshen himself up again, hopefully. And I think he should have more to offer still over these staying trips, and hopefully will be ridden prominently as a result. So Hewick at 25-1, the main play, but I may just have a saver on Enrilo because I just can't shake him anyway. Daryl, back to you, please, for anything else from Sandown.
No, I don't think so. Oh, the 407's a very interesting race. There's only 4 runners. Paul Nicholls got 2 of them. Scaramanga, McFabulous, Indefatigable, and Fusa Raffles. I have no idea who could win that, but I just thought it was worth mentioning that it's such a strange little race. It's so weird. Scaramanga has never run above 150. He's returning from like 364 days off. McFabulous has been, and Compton pumps off. Indefatigable fell last time out, and Fusa Raffles is back over hurdles. So it's just a weird race. But I should stop talking because I've got nothing else at Sandown.
I love that. Flag up the race. I have no idea what's going to win it, but I really wanted to flag that. It is actually. I haven't looked at that race yet. That is. What on earth do you do with that? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Andrew might know. Because Andrew, do you have a bet in that race?
Yeah, that's the race I wanted to discuss briefly.
Oh, well,
because,
perfect.
I mean, I'll put up Indefatigable as a bet each way. She's 40-1 when she fell chunk behind Daryl's selection, Marie's Rock, and 18-1 winner. A great pick, that one. And you thought she's going to be in the first 3 or 4. She might even have troubled the winner. It was just so gutting to see her tip up. That's the frustrating thing, isn't it, with these big races, when you sort of you just wanted to see your horse get round to know what would have happened, whether you were right or whether wrong, rather than not knowing. So she was beaten half a length by was it You Never Learn in this race last year? Not you, no, You Never Call. Sorry, Kim Bailey's runner, who's won the last 2 renewals, wasn't keen on Fusil Raffles reverting from fences. McFabulous, you think, yeah, he's an absolute fruitcake. I should just draw a line through him. But then you think, he jumped out to his right in third at Aintree, and he has won his last 3 starts right-handed. So maybe he's going to be the pick of the Nicholls runners. So I'll go Indefatigable over McFabulous. But a bit like Daryl, it's just a fascinating race and one to watch. And if you did a play spot, stick all 4 in and hope for the best.
That's one of the races I'm looking forward to the most on Saturday. Just to watch.
Definitely stay tuned for that one then. Like I say, all 4 then in your play spot for Andrew, but Indefatigable would probably be the one he'd side with then for win purposes. So we shall then move on to our second meeting of the day. This is just one race that we're going to be sighting at Haydock. So we're switching tack now back to the flat, where we have the Great Shevington Handicap for 4-year odds and over 7 furlongs. A very open looking contest. Andrew, your take on this race, please.
Sorry, which race are we doing here?
The 205, is it?
Yeah, Haydock.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at Leicester thinking, oh, crikey, I've done the wrong race. Yeah, this is a tricky old one, isn't it? When you look at the roll call of winners of this race, they all tend to have raced on turf last time out. The majority of them, at the end of last season, have been making their reappearance. I think we had one winner who had prepped at Kempton this season, but it's very rare to see anyone who's kind of been on the go all winter on the all-weather like some of these are. So you got, Al Reb, who fits that description, heads the market at 9-2. So I'll be against him on that angle. I mean, Boardman is a horse we often tip on this programme. He was in great form last spring. He ran at Redcar, caught the eye on his reappearance in April, then bang, hat-trick in May. Now, the thing is, he's probably better on soft ground, isn't he? So ran an absolute blinder on his comeback at Redcar, 4th of 16, drawn in the car park, first 3 drawn low. He was the first time of those drawn high. We're already starting to see some of the other high-drawn runners out of that race come out and run well. There's a few of them running this weekend, actually. So, if you are following that form, maybe you want to include Boardman in some of your multiples. But I mean, it's officially good at Haydock. That could mean firm or heavy, couldn't it? We don't know. But,
yeah.
I'm guessing it's going to be too quick for Boardman. 11-2, I can leave him alone, much as I like him. Udalali was a horse I put up when he won at Goodwood last year. Great record of 7 furlongs. Probably needs softer ground as well. He's coming back from being gelded and first run after a wind operation. So he could improve this season, but I'm just thinking maybe he's one for Goodwood later in the year when there's a bit more cut in the ground. So you kind of going through it, you're thinking, there's not really a lot. The one I was looking at the price was Summer Sands, 20-1 for Richard Fahey. Now, he's a funny old one. Fahey had him as a juvenile. He was pretty successful. He then went to Aidan O'Brien in Ireland. Didn't do a great deal for him in a fairly sort of light couple of seasons campaign. Last year, came back to Fahey, ran twice, well beaten first time out. Second time, ran a lot better. He was 66-1 at Doncaster, wasn't best drawn, finished 5th. So I think we might see more from Summer Sands this year. Fahey's hit form now, hasn't he? After a slow start to the season. So 20-1 Summer Sands for me, but it's super tricky, this one.
Oh, I like that though, for 20-1 Summer Sands. Yeah, interesting, stable flip-flop then. I know for these owners who have got the horse with Joseph O'Brien, but even so, that's really interesting then from what you can hopefully show back with Richard Fahey again, 20-1 for Andrew. Daryl, your take on this race?
Yeah, Boardman for me. Yeah, I thought you ran a screamer at Redcar last time out, and like Andrew said, here to Haydock next time and picked up in the spring. I didn't think the ground would be an issue for him, really. I just thought that he got to a point where he couldn't really win in a handicap last year. He's back down to a mark. He has one off already at Chester on what was good to soft ground beating. Ejtilab, that form has worked out remarkably well, and he did that very, very comfortably. I thought he ran a screamer, and I thought it was just a case of off the back of a break, give him a run. Right now, let's go and win this. I think he's got a fitness edge over a lot of his rivals, or a fitness edge over the rivals I would perceive to be the biggest dangers, and I'm talking the likes of Udalali, for example, who's a horse I'm quite keen to keep on the right side of this season. I think he's got plenty in his favour. Obviously, I'd prefer the ground would have a little bit of cutting it, but I don't think that's I don't think he's ground reliant as much as I thought he was last year. So yeah, Boardman for me, quite capable off this mark. I'm going to back him. I like him.
Oh, I like that a lot then. So Boardman not having the ground concerns, and of course, like you say, it's listed as good at Haydock currently, but who knows with Haydock what it's actually like. But either way, then Daryl not deterred by that whatsoever. Back on his
all someone's got to do, Kate, is just go down there and sneeze on it. It'll be heavy.
Exactly. That will be your job then between now and Saturday. Go down there and sneeze on the turf, and we'll have a bit of juice in the ground then. Oh, this is getting strange. Right. We shall move on then from whatever the ground's going to be at Haydock. Move on to our final scheduled meeting. Therefore, this is at Leicester, where we just have the one race again. This is for 245. This is for listed King Richard III Stakes for 4-year-olds and over 7 furlongs, where we only have 4 runners declared. So, Daryl, how do you play this race?
Happy Power for me. This horse in my notes, right, has got just ignore in Group 1 and Group 2 company and wait for a listed run.
Yeah.
Today's the listed run. I thought he ran fairly well at Wolverhampton last time, just touched off by Tinker Toy. I think he is consistent in terms of the mark or the level that he runs up to every single run. And I was hoping to God that this Path of Thunder, I've literally just seen the prices now. I was hoping to God this Path of Thunder would be towards the 4 of the market because of the Appleby Yard form and his form over in Maydown. But he's never ran to the figure that he's run over at Maydown over here. So I'm hoping that just might be a bit of a red herring for the bookmakers that are putting him in at a short price at the top of the market. Yeah, I really like Happy Hour. I think this horse is absolutely rock solid. It is a very attractive price at 11-4. I'm really happy with that, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so Happy Power 11-4, like I say, the prices have literally just come through then as we've been talking there to take on Path of Thunder, who has been put in at the head of the market at 6-5 favourite therefore. So Happy Power for Daryl. Andrew, how do you play the race?
Yeah, I like this race. This is one of the best betting opportunities of the weekend, despite there being only 4 runners. First of all, Ed Rock is one I want to take on. I napped him last time out. 2 points win at 14-1 in my column. He's got short-headed at Newcastle. The reason for backing him that day is because he was fresh. He'd been off for 80 days, I think. When he's had more than 6 weeks off, he's virtually unbeatable. He's coming back here after a break of 8 days. That's going to prove his undoing, I suspect. So rule him out. And Path of Thunder, like Daryl, he did win a couple of times in small fields early in his career, but more recently, he seems to be quite keen. It's all Maydown form in big fields, a lot of it. And I'm not convinced that he's a 5-4, 7-4 shot, which the bookmakers have him in at. Now, when you look at the official rate, the four horses are all carrying the same rate. They're rated 108, 107, 106, and 102. Now, a lot of lazy odds compilers, if indeed odds compilers rather than computers price these things up, they just go on official ratings for some of these contest conditions and listed races. And it's absolute nonsense most of the time. And Aratus here, I thought should be favourite or near enough favourite for this race. This is a horse I tipped up more than once last season. I think a good one on his final start. He ran an incredible race first time out. That was at Newbury in September 2020. He was 33 to 1. Trained by Clive Cox, who's got a shocking record with his newcomers at Newbury. It's his local track. They often need the run. Even some of his horses have gone on to be successful at stud like Cody Bear got chinned at Newbury on their debuts. He had one this week or last week who was beaten odds of 11 to 10 on. Now, he's come from off the pace to finish second to Uda Lally, we talked about earlier on, only beaten 3/4 of a length. Since then, he's unbeaten in 4 starts. And he's often run well against the bias. When he won at Newbury last season, he came from off the pace to do so. And he's so progressive. He's been gelded since his last run. If that brings about some improvement, then he's going to be a 110 plus horse in no time at all. I couldn't believe he's 9 to 2. I mean, I think one firm of 11 to 4, another firm's 9 to 2. It's kind of like no one's got a clue how to price this race up. They're just throwing darts at the board and taking the pick. Now, so we're Happy Power. He's the one I rate the danger. He is here on a losing run of 10, but then he does seem to have a clear class barrier to his form, like Daryl says, chucking out his runs in Group Company, Group 1, Group 2 in particular. Look at those below. He's gone close at Wolverhampton last time at a listed level. I've backed Aratus. I'll save on Happy Power and do the forecast, but 9 to 2 Aratus. That's daft.
Yeah, I like that. The 9 to 2 Aratus to hopefully continue this winning sequence as well on the back of the gelding operation. But both of the lads then taking on Path of Thunder at the head of the market, and also Edrak in there as well. But yeah, the betting doesn't really know what it's doing with all of the different firms anyway. It's all priced up very differently, but Path of Thunder is a pretty is a favourite across the board. So both of them taking them on. Right, Andrew, anything else then from Leicester or Haydock?
Yes, we talked about that Boardman red car race where it was very difficult to win with a high draw. In the 3:45 at Haydock, DELGREY BOY, a stablemate of Boardman, was also reappearing in that race from a high draw. Never put into the race and never got into the race, and so it might be worth doing Boardman, DELGREY BOY in a double. So I wouldn't put you off that one. And then at Leicester in the 2:10, this is a race that Mark Johnson's done well in over the years. He's got Achnamara, a 1.5 handicap, and he impressed me. He was a short price when winning at Wolverhampton last time, but he did so over the 1.5 trip from the front. A very difficult course and distance to make the running over. So Achnamara in the 2:10, Leicester, DELGREY BOY 3:45 Haddock.
Lovely job. Yeah. So a couple of options there for you for Andrew. Daryl, anything else from Leicester or Haydock?
One from Haydock in a 3:45, the same race Andrew's just mentioned.
Ooh, yeah.
Kingmania is a progressive horse for Chris Wall. Hoping it's not going to need the run, but really just improved from every single start on the clock, on RPRs, and on just the bare form last season with every single run. And last season finishing very, very strongly at Newmarket behind Spirit of Bermuda, but not really handling the track there. I think there's more to come from this horse off a mark of 86. So I think he should be going well first time up. Went well fresh last year.
Cool. So Kingmania, horse number 9, then in the 3:45 at Haydock for Daryl. Daryl, back to you for anything from anywhere else?
No, I think... Hold on, I've got notes in that. No, that's it. That's
absolutely fine. And Andrew, anything from anywhere else?
Yeah, a couple. Going back to that Boardman red car race, I mentioned DELGREY BOY, Copper and 5, Ruth Carr's runner, was another one who was drawn high and never got into the race. Now, Copper and 5 only seems to win in small fields and has got ideal conditions in the 2:20 at Ripon. So again, your Boardman, DELGREY BOY, Copper and 5. Tracey might be worth throwing a few quid out. At Doncaster in the 6:05, there's a couple. Finery was given another shocking ride by Erica Parkinson at Chelmsford last time out. Patiently ridden and then rushed up round the outside. Cardinal Chelmsford splits in, made up the ground too quickly over 10 furlongs. Still did really well to finish second. And Theodore Ladder on board. That one's going to run a good race. Probably save on Alpha Crew in the same race, who's 3 from 3 over a mile in small fields.
Oh, cool. Well, plenty of different bets and options then for Andrew, and good cases made for those horses as well. So all there is left for me to do then is to get to your nap. So Daryl, I'll go back to you then, please, for your nap then of the weekend.
Oh, I forgot about this.
It always comes as a surprise, I know.
I can't remember what I said at Sandown. Can you come back to me?
Yeah. Andrew, nap.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as Daryl. I know every time we record this video, you're going to ask me for a best bet at the end of it, and it does come as a surprise. I'm given how bullish I was about Aratus in the 245 at Leicester. I've got to go for him.
Cool. So 245 then at Leicester for Aratus there. I'm going to go, in case Daryl gets there then before, we're going to go Greaneteen then in the 3 o'clock at Sandown, because I was between him and Mr. Fisher. Can't quite put up Hewick, but he's a good price anyway, so I'll still be backing him. But between Mr. Fisher and Greaneteen, which one's more solid? Greaneteen, 3 o'clock at Sandown. Daryl, have you come up with one, or did I just steal your nap?
Yeah, well, Andrew went into the race that I was going to go for with Happy Power. So then I thought,
I'll tell you what, Daryl, let's do a nap treble. Greaneteen, Mr. Fisher, and Happy Power and Aratus combined in that 245. Two trebles. I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, and let's also next best the forecast Happy Power Aratus.
Okay, right. Right, hopefully the guys behind the scenes have got all that to put it up. We've absolutely bamboozled them with naps and best bets and everything, but we'll leave that to them to figure out then. So yeah, that is everything from us then on the final jump season in Britain then this weekend. Plenty to look forward to. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Thank you to the lads as always for all of their hard work. Thank you to SVK for sponsoring, of course, as well, and do enjoy the weekend's action. We'll speak to you again next week.